The Thin Blue Line Flag of Tyranny shirt is finally available. The link to purchase is in the description, so head over there and order today. This design is available on all different styles of shirts and hoodies. Hey everybody, it's James Freeman. This is part 2 of the 6-year-old story shared by Cop Block on Jeffrey Weinhaus. The reason I'm sharing it is because as of today, December 21st, 2019, Jeff Weinhaus still sits in prison. I'm sharing this part of the story from this 6-year-old story because I feel that it's important to show you what the official story was back then and what the information showed at that time as opposed to what it shows today. In the video to follow this one, you will hear eyewitness testimony that greatly differs from the testimony of the police. You will also see information that was just released in October of 2019 that shows that the Missouri Highway Patrol knew that Sergeant Folsom, the sergeant that shot Jeffrey Weinhaus, was suffering from mental illness and was deemed by doctors to be a potential danger to society. If at any time during this story you feel that injustice has been done and is continuing to be done here, please contact Governor Parsons' office at 573-751-3222. Please be respectful when you contact him and ask that Governor Parson please pardon Jeff Weinhaus.
This episode of Cop Block is brought to you by Freekeen.com.
Weinhaus's motion for a new judge to get away from David L. Hovind was granted. The new man in the black robe, acclaimed neutral arbitrator of justice, who nevertheless subsists on wealth others create, was Gail D. Wood. There was a bond reduction hearing, but Parks wasn't there, so Wood continued the hearing. The bond reduction hearing was held. Parks was there this time, as were 13 individuals wearing Missouri State Highway Patrol outfits, and 4 of their friends in plain clothes. Judy Weinhaus testified, stating that since he was caged, he'd missed medical care and therapies that were necessary to his recovery. Wood eventually denied the motion that Weinhaus had put forward to reduce his bond. Weinhaus was told that his 3-day trial would begin on April 30th. Weinhaus was heard on a motion he'd submitted to allow for surety bond. Weinhaus argued that he shouldn't have to pay such a big ransom to get out of a cage, which was set at $50,000, cash only. Weinhaus knew that, were he not caged, he could better prepare for his legal land venture. His motion was later denied. Prior to exiting his vehicle on September 11th, Weinhaus had called his ex-wife, who had recorded the call. On January 17th, Cop Block posted this audio clip that was leaked, which disclosed some major inconsistencies with a press release about the incident. Concise as it is, the press release is one of the only pieces of information about Folsom's shooting of Weinhaus that's since been released by the Missouri State Highway Patrol. In it, Sarah L. Eberhardt claims that the troopers issued verbal commands for Weinhaus to move his hands away from his pistol. Let's listen to the audio clip. Do you hear any verbal commands given to Weinhaus ordering him to move his hands away from his pistol?
This is Jeffrey's encounter with the Missouri Highway Patrol to get his computers back.
Good, how are you? You got the gun? Why I got the gun? What you got the gun for? Alright, well, I'm off the right there. Get off the ground. Get down on the ground. You have to shoot me, man.
You heard his car door. They exchanged pleasantries. Aside from their report, they did not ever tell him to take his hand away from a weapon. They never told him to drop a weapon. They never told him he was under arrest. They never told him any of that. They just, hey, what do you got the gun for? What do you got the gun for? They were exchanging pleasantries, you know? I mean, like I said, they all knew each other.
After the shooting, Weinhaus's ex-wife put the audio clip on his Facebook wall. Though she took it down almost immediately afterwards, she was soon visited by Mike Houston of the Missouri State Highway Patrol, who wanted to confiscate her computer. After some back and forth, the computer was used at a college campus. Houston made at least 6 copies of the audio and left. The following day, when Weinhaus's attorneys made the 4-hour drive each way to get a hard copy of the audio for themselves, they were trailed by Missouri State Highway Patrol vehicles the entire way. It seems pretty clear, based on other attempts to solicit information.
Custodian of Records Office, this is Denise. Can I help you? Until the case has actually gone through court and is disposed of, we could not release that from this office.
That the Missouri State Highway Patrol investigators would prefer that such objective documentation of the incident not exist outside their ability to censor. When on the road with the Cop Block tour, in-person attempts to follow up on Weinhaus's situation were stonewalled. Personnel at Troop I headquarters in Rolla, Missouri, where Folsom and Mertens work from, would not comment.
It's in reference to the Jeffrey Weinhaus incident from September 11th.
If that's what it's a reference to, this is what we need to give you. These are the people that you need to contact reference that incident. And this is what we've been told to tell anybody with the investigation.
We're not going to be answering any questions or comments about this case. I'm going to direct you again, as we've been directed by the prosecuting attorney. If you have any questions, just contact him.
Crane, Kinley, and Wisecow pointed to a memo that said they cannot release any reports or comments on this case, and directed all questions to Robert E. Parks, the same Parks who notarized the search warrant of Winehaus's property, and who is now acting as prosecutor in his case.
Okay. Good day.
Why would Parks, who's working to cage Weinhaus, be the gatekeeper of information related to the investigation? It sure doesn't seem like he has any incentive to be impartial. Still, a visit was paid to Union, Missouri, to the Franklin County Courthouse to speak with Parks. Only he wasn't having any of it. In fact, he said he would not comment on the case until the conclusion of the trial. Just how then is one to get information related to the incident?
This is an active case, so there's nothing that I can discuss with you at this time until after it's resolved.
And do you know when that'll be? Like, you mean until after the trial?
Right.
In late April?
Right. Definitely I can't comment on the case till after the trial is finished.
Okay. You don't see a conflict of interest, the fact that the investigation is...
Thank you very much.
Well, I'll walk with you to court. I'm heading down myself, but you don't see a conflict of interest, the fact that the investigation was done by Troop C employees, the same outfit for which the shooters work for? I hope if you have a change of conscience, you'll check out our post, copblock.org/Jeffrey Weinhaus. It has some info on there, just trying to make sure people don't get away with stuff because they have badges. Personnel working for the Missouri State Highway Patrol Troop C office in Weldon Spring, where those who supposedly investigated the September 11th incident worked from, also remain tight-lipped.
Do you see where I'm saying that doesn't make sense?
I kind of see myself in a catch-22. I talk to the police, and they tell me to go, that they were instructed by the prosecuting attorney to see the prosecuting attorney for information, and I go to him, and he tells me, I'm not telling you anything. What would you do?
Well, I think what the prosecutors told you from what Peter just said is, at some point, I will release some information. I had never heard Peter say that the prosecutor said, I will never release information. He said at some point. So that's kind of where we are. So there's a difference between never and at some point. And so that's kind of where we are.
We don't have the answers to it. They're in that report, and the prosecutor has it, and he has requested that all media inquiries and all questions from anybody, any member of the public, are sent to his office.
Johnson, Wolf, and none other than Al Northrum, the public information officer who you earlier saw had hung up on a caller in September, would not share any info.
And if you guys think of any other info you want to share, there's a submission tab at CopBlock, or you can message me at pete@copblock.org. I'm definitely trying to bring about some justice in this and other situations. So,
very good.
All right. Do these interactions make sense? Do they align with the lofty tenets claimed by the Missouri State Highway Patrol? On February 21st, Weinhaus had another hearing to try to get surety bond, to lessen the ransom so that he could be freed to better prepare for his trial. Keep in mind that while caged at Franklin County Jail, he's allowed only 2 15-minute visitations per week. This motion was denied. However, at the hearing, some new information came to light. Parks stated that Weinhaus's August 16th video had caused the governor's office to call a colonel in the Missouri State Highway Patrol and request an investigation. Is the Missouri State Highway Patrol supposed to be at the beck and call of the governor? Is it correct that the hierarchy of the Missouri State Highway Patrol, there's one colonel that's Mr. Replogle? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
There's only one colonel at that outfit, Ronald K. Replogle, yet he denies having any recollection of such a call. Also at the hearing, Weinhaus disclosed that on September 11th he had a camera recording from his vehicle. He questioned, why don't they have video? But that went unanswered. In addition to that camera and the cell phone he had used to call his ex, which was in his pocket, The police took from his person his spy watch, a .22 caliber revolver, his wedding ring, his glasses, and a second cell phone. On February 22nd, Weinhaus received a letter response from Gary F. Tolke, sheriff of Franklin County. It objectively communicated that Folsom had failed from the very beginning to follow the rules that he purports to enforce. According to Missouri's statute, Chapter 43.2, the members of the Highway Patrol may request that the prosecuting or circuit attorney apply for, and members of the Highway Patrol may serve, search warrants anywhere within the state of Missouri, provided the sheriff of the county in which the warrant is to be served or his designee shall be notified. Based on my reading of this Missouri statute 43.2, it says that it's mandated that the sheriff of the county be notified of that sort of action. And was that done on August 22nd?
No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. There is a statute that requires that, and we were notified before the warrant was issued.
Some claim that Weinhaus's investigations showed corruption all the way up to the governor's office.
Jeff's my friend, man. He needs our support. He's being railroaded, run over. They're not following any laws. They're going to try to persecute this guy, and they tried to assassinate him. And like I said, it has to do with his computers and cameras, because this man had dirt all the way up to the governor's office.
Others believe that Weinhaus's situation just demonstrates the flaws inherent in the so-called justice system, with actors circling their wagons to protect their own. Whichever is true, it's clear to me that Weinhaus has thus far not been afforded transparency. Instead of waiting and hoping that justice will finally emerge in trial, be proactive. Transparency is a powerful disinfectant. Anything you can do to help advance the desired end is much appreciated. Some ideas include: get attention on a situation, share this video or the meta post, copblock.org/Jeffrey Weinhaus, or create some content of your own. Make calls. The court of public opinion is powerful. Take a few minutes to call Weinhaus's captors to ask questions and share your thoughts. Write to Jeff. His address is listed in the video description. Donate so that Weinhaus can make calls to a support network, get stationery supplies, and maybe even eat a little better. And if you're a lawyer in Missouri or have knowledge of the legal land variation in that area, Weinhaus would love to hear from you. The more effective we are in stopping a wrong in progress, the less likely such damage control will be needed in the future. Visit copblock.org/Jeffrey Weinhaus for complete background. If you have more information related to this incident, please do let me know at pete@copblock.org.
There's no justice. It's just us. And that's been Jeffrey's slogan for 16 years. There's no justice. There's just us.
As of December 21st, 2019, Jeff Weinhaus still sits in prison, convicted of assaulting the officer that assaulted him. If you believe that injustice has been done in this case, and/or is continuing to be done, please contact Governor Parson at 573-751-3222 and ask him to pardon Jeffrey Weinhaus. In Part 3, you will hear the eyewitness testimony that differs from the testimony and reports of the police, but matches the audio and video recordings that the police didn't know existed at the time they made their false reports.